Hello and welcome to Health Matters on Channels Television. Thanks for joining us. I am Mary Alale Yusuf. The World Health Organization has announced a global resurgence of cholera cases in 2024. Since the beginning of the year, 24 countries have reported almost 195,000 cases and almost 2,000 deaths. The Apex Health Body also says that 16 countries requested 92 million doses of oral cholera vaccine, which is almost double the amount produced at the time. In Nigeria, the NCDC reported at least 53 deaths from over 1,500 cases across 31 states in week 26. Cholera is a fecal-oral disease, which means human waste ends up in the mouth from unwashed hands, food, or drinks. The onset of cholera always marks an emergency situation and is recognizable by characteristic rice water stools. My guest on the show is a public health physician and chief consultant epidemiologist of the Department of Public Health, Federal Ministry of Health, Abuja. Dr. Jamiu Ganiyu joins us from our Abuja studio. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me this afternoon. Thank you.
Can you describe for us these rice water stools? What do they look like? And what are other symptoms of cholera which usually occur?
Okay, the rice water stool is just similar to the water that is after being used for washing rice. The way it look like, kind of milky color appearance. That's how it look like. And some of the symptoms of cholera, apart from the acute diarrhea, we have fever. We have a symptom that suggests loss of water. Somebody may not have oliguria, inability to pass enough urine. Somebody may have weakness. And if it persists, somebody may have drowsiness, and that can be convulsion. And the ultimate of it is that as a result of loss of electrolytes like potassium, and also it can lead to a convulsion in some cases, and even coma, because when somebody gets severely dehydrated. So those are some of the symptoms of someone that gets infected with cholera.
So we're talking about severe symptoms when the case has become really bad. Before it gets to rice water stools, for somebody who is infected, can they do something for themselves before it gets to that point? Can they recognize that, this is an emergency before it gets to rice water stools?
No, certainly it must get to the diarrhea. The symptoms of acute watery diarrhea, which appear like rice water stool, is one of the key symptoms. The only thing is that someone should not wait until he gets severely dehydrated. At the beginning, somebody may be mildly, moderate, and severe. So the moment somebody picks that, having sign of weakness, he or she can actually use ORS, that is oral rehydration solution, or you can even prepare the salt water solution. Somebody should try and take as much as possible. But the key thing is that someone should not stay at home and say he or she wants to manage cholera. The moment you institute such a little first aid measure, reports, the best thing is for individual to report to the nearest health facility. Even at primary care center, report to that, and they will take it off from there. Yes.
Okay,
it's free. Treatment is free. Yes.
Free treatment. Great to know that. Some people have described this disease as a poor man's ailment, maybe because of, the dirt involved in catching this disease. But how does that explain that it's become a disease of global proportions? Is it then really a poor man's disease?
The general belief is that anything that has to do with hygiene, which has to do either water or food hygiene, people attribute that to maybe as a result of poverty. But I want to denounce that assumption. It doesn't happen that way. There are a lot of issues at the moment that has actually driving the outbreak. For instance, apart from the personal hygiene issue, if you look at our environment, issue of sanitation has been an issue. You have you can have open dumping of refugees. You can also see people open defecation, which is a common practices. And usually when this happens during rainy season, what do you expect? By the time the rain comes, it wash everything, and before you know, our source of water, whether the surface water or underground water, get contaminated. And these are one of the key areas I think we need to also address that. And one other thing is that, when an individual is infected, whether you are poor or rich, as long as you have contact with that person, it could be physical contact, maybe, or contact through contaminated surfaces and the rest of them, somebody can get infected. And another thing is that, our eatery. One thing I want to clear about cholera is that only 1 out of 10 person get the typical signs and symptoms. So it's not everybody that get infected eventually get that. And another thing I want to point is that somebody can get infected through a very sick person or somebody that is recovering of a normal career. So anybody can get infected through E3, through all this what we buy on the roadside. Either it could be the normal maize, roasted maize, and anything. So it's everybody is vulnerable. It's just that the level of vulnerability differs based on the availability of amenities, the immune systems, and other factors. But nobody can claim that he or she is immune when it happens, as long as we all interact together, mingle together, especially in a highly populated area, especially in our urban settings. So anybody can be vulnerable, just that the level differ from one person to the other. Yes.
So you're saying that 9 times out of 10, people have the cholera bacteria in their body, but are just not suffering the symptoms. So for people who are not sick, what should they be doing now in this time of outbreak to stay safe?
Well, for now, the first thing which I think NCDC and every other agencies are doing, other partners, is to map the hotspots. And in those areas, that means, especially those areas that are highly vulnerable, I don't want to mention areas like Lagos Island and so on. I think there may be need for vaccination or cholera vaccination. People like that are vulnerable are candidates for that. And again, based on study, it has also been found that where there are secondary cases, what I mean, there are a lot of people that get that are likely, maybe they have made contact with an index case, and there are high cases of secondary cases. It is also expected that individual can be given single dose of doxycycline. So these are some of the things as contained in literature that we can do. But for now, I think what is applicable at the moment is to ensure that those areas, the hotspots, like all those slums, all those high populated areas where there are high number of cases, I think they will benefit more from oral cholera vaccine. But one thing I want to point out is that oral cholera vaccine doesn't have 100% protection. It's only about 65%. So every they are being vaccinated, they still need to continue with all the necessary public health measures, such as issue that has to do with sanitation, food safety, ensuring that the source of water drinking is good, that is safe, either by boiling water, ensuring that water are properly chlorinated. Just ensure that every source of food and water somebody needs to take is very reliable. And at this moment, we also encourage people, even when you want to eat food, make sure you eat hot food. That way, may relatively help in killing the bacteria, even when it is contained in such food. And also, proper sanitation is very, very key, because we need to clean our house. Housefly is another mechanical way of transmitting cholera. If it lands on a stool that is contaminated and it lands on surfaces or on our food, somebody can still get contracted. So these are measures, proper sanitation. Apart from food, We need to ensure that our environment is clean. We need to make sure that where there are a reservoir of housefly, we need to make sure that we eliminate them. And at this point that we are witnessing cholera, more cases, I think wherever, in those places where we've recorded cases, I think we need to close swimming pools and also try as much as possible to ensure that we discourage mass gathering, all these spiritual gathering and so on, which may serve as another means of somebody getting contracted, maybe through water source, ablution, and so on. So these are some of the public health measures we also need to put in place at the moment. But for us to be able to reduce some, whether I like it or not, cholera is endemic in Nigeria. So for us to be able to reduce some of these recurrent outbreaks, I think we need some long-term measures. If you look at our homes,
just before
in some
we go
area,
to
you
those
find
long-term,
that.
just before we go to
Yes,
those long-term measures, you spoke about flies landing on some contaminated stools. I hear that in certain climes there is treatment for sewage, treatment for stools that renders them unable to transfer any infection. Do we engage in such treatments in Nigeria?
Well, the treatment, I can say at the moment, one of the key treatment we do for is only when we identify any cholera patient, that is either after they have been isolated on treatment, anything that has to do with their stool, vomitors, or any beddings, anything, their clothing and so on need to be disinfected. Those are some of the measures. But at the level of our individual homes, I don't think. But I want to believe that in a home where there is proper construction of sewage and a septic tank, I want to believe that that's why there should be proper construction in such a way that it will not give room for fly to have access to some of those solid waste, for them to be able to contact those germs and transmit it to surfaces, food, and others. So these are some of the things I can say about regarding the issue of treatment. But apart from that, in urban settings anyway, where there is a good network of the closest system and so on, I think there is a system in place for actually treating some of this sewage, and in so doing, they even recycle some of the treated waste as they use as manure and so on, which is being done. In some parts of the country, to be in the FCT,
let me butt in there for a second. We need to go on a short break. After the break, we'll come back to some of the issues. Please stay with us and join us on the other side of the break. Welcome back. You're onto Health Matters on Channels Television, and we're talking about cholera, the resurgence of the cholera outbreak. You can call and ask questions on the topic, and the number to call is 0808-054-2233, or you can send a message at CTV_Mary A, or write email to me, moalale@channelstv.com, while the show is on. We have Dr. Ganiyu, Dr. Jamiu Ganiyu, with us to discuss this topic. And I want to ask you, Doctor, since we are talking about some things which may involve the government, and we're talking about properly building sewage tanks, a lot of people have boreholes. I wonder if boreholes are supposed to be inspected by the government, if there should be a permit for such a thing, because you find out that some people's boreholes are built beside sewage systems. Perhaps this is part of our problem. And while you're talking about that, is it possible to treat borehole water to make it safe?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, it has to do with building design. ideally, wherever there is septic tank, the source of water should be at above. It should be at it should be above the level of where the septic tank is, and which I don't think we observe that. And there is a minimum distance between the septic tank and the source of water, which is around 30 meters and so on. I don't think so. Some of those things are being observed. So it has to do with building design, which I want to tell you, this is a wake-up call by the respective ministry to ensure that we properly carry out inspection of buildings, maybe when an individual's owners are building houses. I think we need to wake up to ensure that the proper things are done regarding siting of septic tank and the source of water. And for the borehole, fine. Since ideally in an ideal system, there should be proper networking of urban water to every homes. But since we cannot do that, people still resort to borehole, not even borehole well. All those things to be actually treated. Like there are provisions, there are people that are trained on how we can chlorinate our wells, and at the same time also our borehole is quite necessary in terms of chlorinating our wells, and also borehole is very, very important. And this needs to be done periodically. But for us to do that, there must be enforcement. And that is why I don't want to call the relevant agencies, as I'm talking, they know we need to actually, it's a wake-up call. We need to wake up, carry out proper inspection of homes. There are people that do that, but I think maybe we need to be more proactive in trying to see that we monitor some of this area, which I think we tend to ignore when you go for home inspection and so on. We need proactiveness of the relevant agencies whenever to get to individual homes. And those people that are approving building design, I think there should be provision as they are constructing building different homes, public places. I think there should be proper supervision. Not apart from that, you find some people building gigantic malls and so on, and there's no provision for toilet. Those are some of the things. And you go to some home, the pit latrine is filled up. They will not, evacuate the septic tank before the people will continue practicing open defecation. If you remember, one of the key things that was mentioned during the live FEC meeting was the issue of open defecation. We need to reduce that practice to a minimum level. That is one of the key things that is actually, contributing to some of these year in, year out of cholera outbreak we are witnessing in Nigeria. So we must find a way to reduce such kind of bad practices, among other things. Thank you.
I believe we're having a call. Hello, from Lekki. Hello, are you there?
Of cholera. I live in Lekki.
Okay.
And it's a place where there's a kind of epidemic in respect of the disease. The problem we are having here is this. The doctor raised very important question here about how we design our homes. And secondly, I had the special advisor to Lagos State Governor saying something about NAFDAC number, in respect of water we consume. She's not getting it right. NAFDAC number can be faked, and they have been faking NAFDAC numbers. And the issue we are having on our hands is that we are consuming adulterated water. We are consuming dirty water. And the waters you see outside, most of them are fake. Only very few are genuine water. And in respect of constructing our houses, it has to do with the economic state of the owner of the house. When somebody builds on a quarter of a plot, how between a septic tank and water and the water borehole, the possibility of contamination is there already. And what is the job of the people in charge of hygiene doing? We are not monitoring, we are not doing our job.
These are the questions, Fatai. These are the questions. Thank you very much. I quickly want to go over to the doctor to quickly react. Are we to now begin to boil the water that we buy in these sachets? Is it true that some of them are fake? So maybe we need to actually boil that water before using it. What's your take on that?
Yes, there are a lot of sharp practices in Nigeria. At times, if you see where some people are actually producing sachet water, honestly, some people's bathroom toilets is even better than such places. I think we need to wake up. Our respective regulation agency, we need to wake up. There are some things that are in circulation that are not properly regulated. And this is not far-fetched. We've heard of cases of even wine. Some people are even, fabricating soft drinks and so on. I think we need to wake up on this issue doctor, of the source of water. I agree with them. Yes.
Just before you go, I want to ask a quick question. We keep telling people to wash their hands, which is a wonderful practice. But what if somebody is washing his hands, her hands, with contaminated water? What is your advice on this hand washing?
Our advice is to boil our water at this moment. If you are not sure of the source of water, it's for the person. We encourage people to boil their water. And also in a home where they are using well, whatever, flooding also contributed. As I've said, during all this open defecation and so on, improper disposal of waste, during rainy season, everything will just be washed into surface water and so on, and underground water source. So what we need to do at this moment is whatever the source of water, if we are not very sure, is to boil the water before taking. That's what we encourage people at the moment. And again, for those of us that have well or borehole, this is the right time again to chlorinate our water. That will help to reduce some of these cases that we are currently recording at the moment. I think that's the only advice I can give you. Let's learn to boil our water. If you boil our water, it will help in killing the germs. And for to approach it massively, we just need to chlorinate our wells and as well as our borehole. It's not something that.
But we shouldn't chlorinate them by ourselves. Is that correct? We should get the authorities to chlorinate.
Exactly. We can contact the relevant authority. They will guide us on how to do that. So we can do that. I think to go a long way in helping that. And
Thank you so much,
washing
Doctor.
of hand is very, very.
I'm afraid that we have to leave it at that. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for your very useful insights. I believe that many people are going to run with some of these tidbits that you have given us to help them stay safe during this period. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you, every one of you watching this program, wherever you are. Thank you so much, Fatai from Lekki, also for your insights. Have a wonderful day. I am Mary Alale Yusuf.